For the foreseeable future, leaders need to get really good at doing all things leadership remotely. This means you have to master things like attracting, hiring, engaging, managing, and retaining employees all remote, and that's a lot of skills for a skill set. If you don't have the skill set to lead a remote team in today's world, your leadership value is pretty much toast. Very sorry. It seems every day companies are announcing robust work from home policies that leaders must adapt to. This is the new norm, folks. In fact, this week, the Wall Street Journal reported about a little company in California called Google that plans to keep 200,000 full-time and contract employees working remotely until at least July 2021. So leadership as we know it is going to be different for a while, so we better buckle up and get ready for a wild ride. Because in this video, I'm going to teach you about something that pretty much no one is talking about. How do you spot and hire the right talent to build a highly effective remote team? I'm going to teach you the #1 quality you need to assess and look for in a potential remote work hire. This quality you must look for is so critical, I consider it the quintessential linchpin to hiring in the remote work era. I will teach you 4 hiring tips for spotting talent that will add value to your remote team. So let's together put on our work from home pants and dive into this video. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Derek Matthews here, co-founder of CharacterQuest, where we help you become the greatest leadership version of yourself. Subscribe to our channel and hit that bell to be notified when we post a weekly video. Harvard Business Review calls potential the #1 quality for 21st century talent spotting. And potential is the ability to adapt and grow in complex, ever-changing roles, responsibilities, and environments. So how do you spot, assess, and hire the talent you're looking for based off of potential? Now I'm gonna give you 4 tips for that. Tip #1. Look for curiosity. The characteristic of curiosity is a requirement for a remote team member. A curious person seeks out new experiences, is obsessed with learning, and is inquisitive about feedback. So how do you know if a potential candidate for your team is curious? It's actually pretty simple. They are always reading something new to grow in personal development. They're touting the latest killer podcast they listen to, or they're preaching from the rooftops how amazing Audible is, and it is pretty amazing. They are curious with an insatiable appetite to learn. Remote teams desperately need them. Why? Because a curious person is a self-starter, which is a required trait for someone working remote from home. When spotting talent for a remote team, assess their curiosity by asking them this one question. What do you do to broaden your thinking, experience, or personal development? Tip #2, look for insight. Insight is another critical quality of the remote work employee. This is the ability to gather and make sense of information to suggest new possibilities. People that can connect the dots and disrupt what I call linear thinking. They like to challenge the process to make things more efficient, more effective. They are not afraid of trial and error. Here's what insight looks like in 2 quick examples I can think of. Not quite understanding how to forecast sales in the midst of a supply chain issue? The insightful take the initiative to search Google and YouTube to learn how other business leaders are approaching the problem. They are then able to build a hybrid forecasting model within the context of their business. Their insight motivated them to figure it out resourcefully. That is insight. Or how about this one? Identifying a process bottleneck, then researching and mastering an online tool like Slack, Asana, or HubSpot to release the bottleneck. Then sharing with other remote team members how they solve the bottleneck problem. So how do you know if a potential remote work candidate is insightful? Ask them this question. Tell me of a time when you had to rely on resourcefulness to solve a problem. Tip #3, look for connectability. Look for people with a knack to connect with others. I'm sure you've met a person in your life that is just magnetic. Why is that? Typically, it falls into 3 things. #1, it's because they are interested in you. Interested is interesting, as the saying goes. #2, they listen and listen to understand your perspective. And 3, they can actually carry on a good 2-way conversation. A remote team member has to be skilled connecting with a customer or team member over Zoom. If we are 100% remote for the foreseeable future with social distancing in place, we really can't wine and dine a customer over beer, bourbon, and bruschetta. Let's be honest. Instead, we have to be able to connect via video, which is difficult, but it's the best thing we have when we can't meet face-to-face on a regular basis. If a remote worker doesn't connect well over Zoom, well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but they're probably not going to be a good fit for your team. So if you want to assess connectability, well, there's really no interview question for that. I would just suggest paying attention to how interested the candidate is in you. I know it sounds weird, but how well can they carry on a conversation without sounding like a robot? Tip number 4, look for determination. Determination is the ability to stay focused and fight for tough goals despite setbacks and distractions. So I've worked remote for most of my career, and I can tell you right now the main challenges. Number 1 is getting distracted by all the stuff at home because you are at home. And number 2, keeping yourself motivated. This is probably one of the most difficult aspects of working from home, and I struggle with it every day. You really can't look to your left and look to your right and see colleagues doing the grind with you. You're 100% by yourself, and that can get kind of lonely and kind of mess with your head a little bit. There's like this negative internal chatter that takes over, and it's really easy to get alone, down, and distracted. So you have to be able to combat that negative internal chatter to be an effective remote employee, or if you're looking to hire someone. So all these reasons above is why determination is such a huge quality for a remote team member. A determined person has the ability to stay focused with the mission top of mind. They're able to self-motivate instead of taking a 2-hour break to play Destiny on the Xbox. I've done that a couple times, I'll be honest. So how do you tell if someone is determined? Ask them this: what strategies do you use to stay focused and motivated in the midst of chaos? Hey, thanks for hanging out with me for a while to talk about remote teams. And I hope this video helps you build a high-performing remote team by looking at potential and the qualities that I described above. As always, if you want to level up your leadership skills, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to be notified when we post a weekly video. Oh, I stumbled on that one. And we'll see you next time.